Hey everyone, welcome. As we're getting started here, feel free to go to the chat and share which organization you're with and where you're joining from. We'll get started in just a couple minutes. Couple things to note, a couple of housekeeping items before we get started here with the actual content. Just so you know, you're all muted, so no ability to kind of come off mute and ask questions. But there is a great place to ask them. There's a questions tab down at the bottom. So if you have questions, please head there during the webinar to share what your thoughts are. And our team will be both behind the scenes asking or answering those questions. And then we'll also make sure that we bring anything to light that we want to cover here in the webinar with Cody and myself. Chat is totally fine, and we encourage you to have a good conversation there. Let us know what you're excited about or any questions that you have, direct those to the questions tab, but chat is great to kind of share your sentiment on anything that we show. And then the last thing is that this is being recorded, so it'll be available for you afterwards if you need to leave early or if you want to share with colleagues that weren't able to make it today. All right, so welcome everyone. We're so glad you're here for Boardable's fall launch webinar. I'm Alex Meslin, product manager, and I'm joined by our Chief Product Officer, Cody Bender. And today we're going to be unveiling new tools and updates designed to help you lead with clarity, protect your mission, and streamline your board operations. So let's dive in. So a couple of things. We know that a lot of you are familiar with Boardable, but if you haven't heard of us before, this is your first time joining us. We just wanted to provide a quick overview of how we help nonprofit boards. So these are kind of our 4 pillars that we lean into: staying organized and efficient, seamlessly collaborating, understanding your board, and elevating professionalism. And today we're actually really excited to share a new feature in our meeting engagement dashboard that emphasizes that understanding your board and clarifying that meeting preparedness. So our agenda today, we'll get started by talking about why we're focusing on the features we're sharing today and what we're hearing from our customers and trends we're seeing in the nonprofit space. And then I'll turn it over to Cody to share some new features that are available to our customers. And then we'll wrap it up with some exciting updates about customer resources and make sure that we leave time to answer some questions at the end.
Alex, we'll also, just a heads up for everyone, we do have the question section right next to the chat. So if you're looking at the screen, we will do Q&A throughout. We have a couple of other team members with us helping out with that. So you don't have to wait till the end. Go ahead and throw your questions in there. We'll try and answer them real time. And if you throw one into the chat, don't worry about that either. We're pretty good at picking those out as well.
Absolutely, yeah. Well, great. So one of the things we just wanted to head off with is, something we're really focused on is governance, and governance continues to be more and more important to nonprofit organizations. The boards and leaders that we're speaking to are kind of feeling the weight of this uncertainty, whether it's regulatory changes or economic pressures, stakeholder expectations. All that uncertainty kind of intensifies this demand for solid governance practices. And with that, there's a challenge that those practices are meant to ensure that good governance are actually kind of draining and time consuming for nonprofit leaders and board members. And whether it's scrambling to build board packets or chasing down action items, trying to kind of do knowledge transfer with board transitions, we know all of you are experiencing this and it takes a lot of work. So it's necessary, but a heavy burden that sometimes undermines the ability to do strategic work that boards are meant to do. And so at Boardable, we're really focused on lightening that load and making sure that you have the time to focus on those strategic initiatives, because we believe that great governance shouldn't be hard. We're really excited to show you some of those things today. Great. So a couple of things that we want to lead with here. Like we mentioned, we believe great governance isn't about just managing meetings. It's about equipping you all, mission-driven leaders to operate with transparency, protect your mission and your organization, and build trust. And so we're focused on these 3 commitments, core commitments, as we talk about this release and the things that we're focused on for the foreseeable future. So protecting the mission, you can think of this governance kind of acts as those mission guardrails, right? To kind of keep you all in line, making sure that organizations are focused, you're preventing distractions, making sure that you've got all of those important practices in place to minimize risk that could disrupt your ability to serve your audience. So with improved security, streamlined workflows, and kind of taking away that administrative burden, those are the ways that we're helping leaders to stay focused on what matters most. Then leading with clarity, good governance provides a strategic compass, a clear framework for decision making. So think of this as like your organizational health plan, supporting ongoing alignment and proactive leadership. So we're focused on better tools for preparation, participation, and follow-up that your board can engage with confidence and efficiency. And last, building trust. Strong governance really does kind of build that trust foundation, reassuring all the people that are involved in your nonprofit organization that you're accountable. So it's representing that promise that you've made to your community and making sure that those resources that you're given are used wisely and ethically. So things like public sites, forums, accessibility tools that we have available in our platform are really meant to make this commitment visible. So this release isn't just about new tools, it's about helping you rise to those expectations that are being put out and put forth with governance to provide more clarity, visibility, and control.
Yeah, and Alex, I would add to that, I think very frequently, governance and compliance get melded together into one concept. And, sometimes governance is seen as, oh, it's a cost to get, good governance in place. But there's so much value in a well-governed organization. That's why boards exist. And so, the reason for this slide is we really like to boil this down to, hey, how are we helping you guys do these three things under the umbrella of governance? You'll hear us talk about governance. It's something we focus on quite a bit, but we're really focused on these three sort of sub bullets. And these are the value propositions of governance, and modern governance should be bringing you all of this. So a platform that helps you do these things is really what you're looking for. And so I think Alex did a great job of articulating each one. And, as you look at the features that we talk about today, think about how they're going to advance these different sort of pillars of modern governance and the value that you're bringing to the organization.
Yeah, absolutely. And actually, before we even dive into what's on the horizon or what we've got for you today, we've got a quick poll for you. So we'd love for you to be able to engage with us. What is the biggest challenge you face with board meetings? So we've got a couple of things here, whether it's materials or organization, board members themselves, tracking those action items. Would love to hear what you all struggle with the most.
And once you vote, you can click on polls and it'll show you what the basically live polling to see what's winning.
I love watching this in real time.
Mine too.
Man, it really is pretty distributed across the board here.
Yeah.
It's not, I will say though, I'm not surprised that getting board members to engage kind of is that highest one right now. Cody, any take on what you're seeing here?
I think, yeah, I'm not surprised, but I also think the runner up and the third place on this, we hear very frequently, right? Which is so much of the work that goes into that you guys do and that, goes into having a well-governed organization and an effective board does come into like, hey, how do we make sure things are getting done? How do we make sure that people have the information that they need? And I think they can be a component of the top one, right? The top one can come down to like, hey, I can't collect and distribute the things that I need to effectively. And I also can't get them to engage because I don't know how I'm tracking what I've asked them to do. They don't know what they've been asked to do. And so it doesn't totally surprise me that this is the breakdown. I think I'm glad a lot of you are customers, and so most of you are customers. So distributing materials securely and on time, I'm kind of glad that one's at the bottom. That's all I'll say.
Yeah, a good little checkbox for us on that one. That's great.
Right. Yeah.
Awesome.
I would be concerned. Yeah.
Thanks so much for participating in the poll. I'm going to go ahead and kick it over to Cody here to talk about these product highlights for what we've got coming this fall, or things that might already be in your you have the ability to use. So Cody, I'd love for you to take from here.
Yeah, why don't we jump to the next slide?
Yeah.
So we're going to start out with AI engagement or AI updated controls. So we have AI that's incorporated with Boardable Video. Most of you, or many of you, have access to Boardable Video. And what we've heard is that many of you want to be able to turn AI on or off for various contexts, right? So we've traditionally had it as a blanket. There's a global setting that allows you to decide, hey, do I want to enable AI tools, including minutes and summaries and assistant? Do I want to enable those for my meetings or not? And probably one of the very first pieces of feedback that we got about this was, hey, this is great, but there are some meetings where I don't want a transcript, and I there are some meetings where I don't want the AI to be involved because maybe it's a sensitive topic, or maybe it's just not allowed by my organization. So the updated AI controls, which I'm about to show you, they allow you to get more granular and get into, hey, do I want it for this meeting or not, and what do I want for this meeting? And so again, we're very much in the business of taking small steps and iterating on these things. We're not trying to eat the elephant all at once, but we are going to continue to evaluate our AI offerings and make them appropriate, safe, and useful for all of our customers. So bear with me as I share my screen. Okay, great. All right, let's jump over. So, first things first, if you've used AI, you may not know this, or you may, but one of the things you're going to see is that we have global settings. These are our standard global settings that we've always had, and they've allowed you to turn Boardable video transcriptions on or off, and also to turn on AI settings. So you can turn the summaries on or off, or you can turn the transcription on or off. Going forward, actually on an individual meeting basis, we've added the ability to decide, do I want AI on for a particular meeting? So this should be very familiar, right? We're going to say that this is a school board meeting. Maybe I'll do a November school board meeting. Or actually, sorry. There we go. So I put a title to it. I scroll down. I can say next, date and time. That's great. I'll do it. Maybe we'll do it later today, not right now. Let's say 1 p.m. When you get to location and video, you're going to see some new toggles. So if you've selected Boardable Video, going forward, you're actually going to get some. We didn't put this in, but you're going to get three new prompts. Or three new toggles. One is ask me to record when the meeting begins. So this will actually allow you to say, hey, once the meeting starts, a prompt will come up and say, do you want to start recording this meeting? We had this feedback quite a bit, which was, I forget, I get a third into the meeting and then I remember we wanted to record. This will save you from having to do that. The other two toggles, which are really nice, are convert Boardable video audio into transcripts and create an AI generated summary key points. So these are the AI features that were globally turned on at the account level previously. Now they can be turned on or off for a meeting. So if you have a very private meeting that is a one-on-one, or it's just this isn't going to be necessary, you can actually toggle these off. One thing you're going to notice is that a prerequisite for creating an AI generated summary is turning on transcripts. So if you notice, this isn't a bug, this is as intended. If you shut transcripts off, it shuts everything off. So if you really just want to shut them off quickly, bam, you can shut them off. If I were to create this meeting would have no AI capabilities because we would have transcripts turned off and summaries turned off. Let's say though, I created my meeting. I wanted to have it on at the time. So I said, great, let's turn these things on. I created it. And then the day before the meeting, someone says, hey, we're not going to record this. We're not going to put an AI on it. I realize I don't want it. Okay, well, great. I'm going to switch tabs here. So this is a meeting. It's coming up in 23 days. And in this case, it's turned on. I can still turn it off as long as it's prior to that session. So you don't have to get it right the first time. You don't have to worry like, oh, I got to go create a whole new meeting because now I turn AI off, or more likely turn it on. So by default, you might just want it off for everything. And then you might want to go through and turn it back on. Totally fine. Either way, no big deal. But these now allow you to sort of control what's going to happen when you're using AI with a particular meeting. One note is we do have AI features with minutes. It also uses the transcript, but it was always optional for AI minutes. So being able to have AI minutes drafted, we didn't change anything there, because if you shut the transcript off, you won't have that option as it always was. And you always have the option to just not use them if you don't want to. So it was never something that was going to be running or not running just based on a setting. So those are our controls that we've added for AI. We'll continue to evaluate this. We'd love to get the feedback. We'd love to hear, how does your organization view these tools? What would be helpful to you to make sure that you feel safe and secure and in line with policies, compliant, right? That's a big part of what we care about. So please feel free to let us know, either in the chat or just separately. You can send a note to support or product. But this is our next step to making AI sort of accessible to everyone.
Yeah, I think it's such a good point, Cody, of wanting to make sure that people can use it in the way that they feel comfortable for their organization. There's so much value in AI, but it is, timely, right? You want to make sure that you're using it in a way that works best for your organization. So excited for this. I think it's a really great improvement to a great feature, some great features that we have. And excited to hear even more feedback as folks start to use it on the meeting level.
Yeah, I think Alex made a really good point, which is we also would like to see utilization. We want people to use the AI tools and give us feedback on that as well. And so trying to create a safer environment where, like, hey, you get to really choose where you want to. You could turn it on. Not every meeting is going to get it, but you could run some test meetings. You can have committee meetings until you can get a sense for, oh, I see what it does and I see what it doesn't do. I feel good about that. Or I want to give Boardable some feedback about something else I would love to see their AI do.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, so excited to hear that. So get in there and use it, everyone. We can't wait to hear what you think of it. All right, let's move on to some experience improvements that we've got going on here.
Yeah, so we've got three different things from what we're calling from an experience standpoint. So we have leveraging Google Drive for board packets. So previously, Google Drive documents, we've always had a really nice integration with them, but pulling those into a board packet was somewhat problematic, right? This is like a live document that we're bringing over, but we really can't be a live document once it's in a board packet. It needs to be sort of a static document. So I'm going to show you guys that. Voting members, I'm going to save for the next section when I get into another meeting engagement dashboard. I'll do that right alongside. But the idea there is like, hey, maybe sometimes you want to capture votes, right, in minutes, and you have a few people who are invited who just aren't voting members. But now you have to go through and NA them or skip them. We have the ability now to toggle on all of the voting members and off all of the ones who cannot. So every time you vote, you don't have to go through and update that. And I'll show you that. And I think it's pretty slick how that works. It's actually real time. So the minutes will update. If you go do a vote and you realize you have too many people, it'll actually in real time, if you shut someone off, change that in the minutes. And then some document center changes. And actually that's probably where I'll start for this next one. We took a look at the document center and said, hey, there's some things that we think we can improve. And so I'm going to show you some of those. Okay, so document center, you might look at it and say, hey, Cody, I don't really see exactly what's changed here. And I think some of the changes are very subtle. Others are a little more upfront and for very good reasons. So the very first thing I'm going to show is, we have a few things that we've added to make it clear what is the date that you're looking at. So it's the date modified, and we actually added the ability to sort off of that date so you can get the ones that have been modified most recently. But the big one that we changed was we always had an ellipsis, and the ellipsis was fine. The only problem with it is if you're a new user or if you've never clicked it before, you don't really know or can remember what's going on behind that ellipsis. What are the actions that I actually can take? And so we added iconography, and this is the standard iconography: delete, move, download. These are all things you could previously do with the ellipsis and actually choosing that document. One of the things we added, and this was actually, I think, a precursor to thinking about redesigning the page as a whole, was we had requests where they said, hey, folks said, hey, we want to share one document with someone. I just want to share something quickly with one of the board members. How do I do that? Well, we created this share document icon, and clicking it brings up a modal, and I can say, hey, please review this document. And then I can go in and actually just choose someone. So I'm going to go ahead and choose myself. You notice I could choose a group of people. So if I wanted to send it to an entire group all at once, so if I upload a document and very quickly want to go say share, I can do that in about 2 clicks. Once I hit share, you'll see that the line will come across. And actually, over in my email, I'll share it. You can actually see that my inbox tells me, hey, Cody vendor, myself, has shared a document with you. And clicking that document, this is actually a really interesting one. Once I click it, it will actually bring up that Microsoft document in a view that most of you are probably familiar with, but it takes me straight to it. So I don't have to navigate. I don't have to go do a bunch of other stuff. Clicking the email directly takes me right to that document right away. Okay, I'm going to jump back. Actually, I'm going to share this tab. So the other item I spoke to was Google Documents. So this is an agenda. You guys would have seen this, a million times at this point. And you can see in this agenda, I've added a Google document by the icon that you can see here. Previously, anything that was added as a Google document wouldn't have shown up in here. But I can open this one, and you can see that the same agenda with the logo, it's got the agenda at the top, just like you would expect. It's got the link to that document. But as I scroll, and it has a couple PDFs as well, as I scroll down, the first one is actually that Google document. And it's formatted nicely. It comes right in line, just like you would expect. The next ones are going to be the PDFs that were part of the agenda above. But going forward, as you attach any Google document, we will convert those to PDFs, and we'll actually include it in the board packet going forward. Now, any changes that are made to that particular Google document won't necessarily be reflected. So this is a record at this point. If you make changes, you'd be well served to go back into this tab and go ahead and regenerate. So if something does get added or changed, we always say that it's out of date, and we say, hey, go ahead and regenerate that. If you make a change to the Google document, I recommend that you regenerate, just to make sure that when you open it, you get the latest and greatest version.
Yeah, that's a great call out, Cody. Just similar to the way that we've got the link between Microsoft documents that are live and Google documents that are, editable. We're really, when you generate that board packet, it's that snapshot in time. We want to make sure it's the document that you're intending to be in there. So a great call out to regenerate that if you've made some updates prior to a
Yeah.
meeting.
And this really rounds out what we've been working on with board packets and agendas and documents for quite some time. We went back and did Microsoft documents, a few months ago, and added those and the ability to have live documents and direct links to them. And all of this led to, well, Google Documents work exactly the same way. Can we do that with Sheets and documents? And so again, incremental progress to try and make it as seamless as possible. When you throw a document in here, you can create the board packet, no matter if it was a PDF that was on your desktop, a PDF that was sitting in Boardable, if it was a Google Doc, if it was a Microsoft Word doc that's shared in OneDrive. So again, just an evolution for us to keep trying to make this as easy as possible, because we all know there are workarounds for things where you can, easily take, a Google Doc and you can download it and you can make it a PDF and then you could re-upload it. Those are extra steps that just keep you from doing more of the important work that you need to do.
Yeah, yeah. And one of the sneaky things, I'll also share this from the document center that we snuck in there, was a bulk action that we heard back from
Mm.
you all that was pretty important. So we've always had the ability to restrict whether a document can be downloaded. Now you can do that in bulk action. So you can select multiple documents and change that setting in a bulk action rather than having to do that document by document, which we heard some great feedback from you all to be able to make that change. And it makes total sense, right? You might just have a group of documents or certain documents in a specific folder where you want to make those changes. So now you can do those things in bulk actions.
Yeah, Alex, that's a great point, which is frequently we'll release small experience improvements, and they don't make a huge splash. We don't send you all an email. It always pays to click around if you see something new and just check out what's changed. I think those icons are a great example. I think the bulk actions are a great example. If you've asked for something, don't be afraid to check back in and see like, hey, I asked about, if I can do this to multiple files. Sometimes we might have it just queued up and we're getting ready to work on it. And other times it might have been actually accomplished and you can start using it right away.
Yeah, absolutely. All right,
Let's
do we
go.
want to move on to meeting
Yeah,
engagement dashboard?
yeah, let's go to the meeting engagement dashboard. So
All
this is
right.
probably the biggest item of the group for this quarter, everyone. So this really aims to answer 3 questions, right? Who's coming to this meeting, which you always could kind of get to from the meeting page. Um, are we prepared? As a group, are we prepared? Not one person that I know is prepared because they're always prepared, but are we as a group prepared? And what's being overlooked? What's not getting used? And so we set out to create like a one-stop shop for you to be able to look at any meeting and say very quickly, like, hey, are we ready to go? Can we answer those 3 questions? And I'll take us to that right now and show you guys. Okay. As you can see, I'm on what's called a year-end board meeting. I've got materials are published. I've sent invitations. We have RSVPs. I'm going to go ahead and start first with voting members because I mentioned that in the last slide. We've added a toggle for voting members. So if I want someone to be tracked in the meeting minutes as a voting member, it's pretty easy to do. I toggle it on, the voting settings are updated, I can toggle it off. That particular user or member no longer can vote. Once I do that, if I head over to minutes and I start from scratch, I can actually, if you're familiar with the minutes, I can click here and I can go down and say, I want to capture a vote. Only the people, this is not everyone, right? These are all the people who have the toggle on. I can leave that vote right there. If I come back over and remove, say, myself and come back to minutes, it will regenerate and it would take me out. So you can do it on the fly. If you see that someone shouldn't be voting at any particular time and you've added a vote, you don't have to delete it and go back and start over. We've made it so that it's bi-directional. So as soon as I see that, oh, somebody shouldn't be on here, I can come back to invitees and I can quickly and easily turn this off. That makes it really, really nice to be able to add someone to the meeting and not worry about having to take the extra time to mark them as NA every single time. The other thing is you probably have always noticed RSVPs as they come in or as they change, they come into this particular column and you can see, okay, well, is someone coming? But it's hard to tell how many people, if you have a very long list, what's happening there. So we created what's called the engagement dashboard. So the engagement dashboard starts with RSVPs. So it just tabulates very quickly so I can see at a glance. I've invited 8 folks, 6 of them have responded to me. I have 3 yeses, 2 maybes, and 1 no. Maybe I need 1 more person to be able to vote. So maybe I'll reach out to the maybes. How can I actually know who that might be? Well, I can just click on maybe and it says myself and Harry Smith both had said maybe at a certain point. I can reach back out to them. Well, who said they're not going to be there? Well, Cynthia, maybe Cynthia's really important to this next meeting and I need to reach out and reschedule. But this is one way for us to just tabulate that very quickly. I might go ahead and refresh it as well. I'm going to tabulate that very quickly and I'm going to be able to click into it. You'll notice I did click a refresh there. The reason for that is that we don't want this, people, responses will be coming in if you publish a meeting, if you send invitations. And so if you're on this page, we don't want to just be continuously updating. It'll tell you the last time it was updated and you can always just click refresh to see it. The other things that we've done are materials activity. So this gives you a sense of each of these charts tells you how many of the people who are invited have viewed the agenda, how many have looked at have had activity with the board packet, which could be download or view or open, and supporting documents. These are documents within the agenda itself. So if I click into any of them, I can actually see who has done what. So I can see they viewed it. If somebody had downloaded it, I would be able to see that they had downloaded it. And I can see who hasn't viewed any of the documents. So in this case, I know Cynthia's not coming, so it's probably not a big deal. There's still a maybe. He hasn't looked at any of this. As this gets closer to the day of, I'm going to want to go through these lists and see like, hey, who's looked at it and who hasn't? And should I reach out and ask Jeff, like, hey, man, can you please take a look at the agenda and get me some feedback on this? These were actually things that we always tracked for documents. So on any document, we had a document audit log, and it was a detailed log of everybody that did everything, and it was behind an ellipsis. And we got feedback that said, hey, this is super useful, but I had to go to every single document to go and check on this. And instead, now we can actually come in and say, hey, what are these people doing and what have they looked at? If they've done more than one thing in supporting documents, it'll actually show you the things that they have looked at. So it'll show you not just did they look at a supporting document, but which ones. At the bottom of this table, or at the bottom of the screen, we have a table, and the table makes it really easy to see who hasn't done really anything. And it's Cynthia at this point. All she's done is RSVP, and she said no. 7 of our members have done multiple things, which is great, right? Like, so I won't give myself much credit here. I'll give Tammy the credit. Tammy RSVP'd yes. She's looked at the agenda. She's opened or downloaded the board packet, and she's looked at the accompanying documents. She's ready to go. And so most of the board in this scenario is pretty ready to go. And you could see as you get into a much larger board, being able to filter it out and say, hey, 2/3 of them have looked at things, but a third of them, maybe 10 people haven't looked at anything. I'm going to start reaching out. I'm going to go ahead and stop sharing for a second. There is uh, a next step to this. So as we think about this for us is sort of a launching pad. And the goal of it is we ultimately want to be able to tie some AI in to do a couple of things. One, we want it to be able to talk to you and say, you know what? You might want to think about sending a message to these folks. Would you like to send one? And if the answer is yes, go ahead and type it in and say, hey, could you please take a look at the agenda? The meeting is tomorrow, and I noticed you hadn't had a chance yet. The follow on to that can be things that you could start to just say, hey, whenever more than half of the people haven't looked at the agenda with 24 hours, just send them a nice note and ask them to quickly look. And you can use the dashboard to then see the results of this. And our goal is to help you drive higher engagement without having to do so much manual work. Send so many emails yourself, or track down who's done what, or have no idea walking in the door. And so we're really excited about this. Again, this is step 1. We think there's lots of uses for it, but it is something that we're going to be rolling out in the next few weeks, basically. And once we do, meetings going forward will have access to this. And as you saw, it's just at the top. Once the meeting invites are sent and materials are published, you're going to have access to all of that data. Prior to that, there's really nothing to view. So you'll be able to see it, but it'll be an empty state. So if you ever go in there and you say, wow, I don't have any data here, you probably haven't sent any invites and you haven't published the materials. So no one can actually interact with them yet. So that's voting members, which is a small thing, but I think a real time saver if you're used to having a lot of folks who actually aren't going to be able to vote in a meeting. And then the meeting engagement dashboard, which we're super excited about, and we're super excited to add to it too. If you've got thoughts or concepts where you said, hey, it would be great to know ahead of time if people had done this thing, we'd love to hear it, because this is definitely just step 1.
Yeah, we're really excited about this one. We feel like one of the things that we can really support is this roll up of information to make quick decisions. Just like Cody was talking about, some of this was requiring manual counting before, right? We don't want to put that burden on you all to be able to understand how things are trending for meetings that you're about to hold. So we want to make sure that you can take appropriate actions as needed to make sure that those meetings are as effective as possible. I think one of the things that's always great is when coming into a session that the room is all on the same page, and you're not going to spend the first 15 minutes getting everybody to review the budget sheet because that was what they were supposed to do coming in. So it's a really great tool to kind of know where you can start and how much time you need to allocate on the agenda for certain things. So really excited about this one.
Really quickly, I realize we mentioned bulk actions, but we didn't say anything about them. Bulk actions, so bulk download disables, you're just going to check the boxes for these, and then you come over to the little settings icon, and you get the ability to disable downloads or enable downloads for them. I'm an administrator, so that's possible. So just in case you were wondering, hey, how do I actually use this thing that they just talked about? That's where you would go to get that.
Yeah. We also did have a question about what the summary and the transcript page look like. I'm going to show an internal meeting we have here real quick again.
Sure.
So I'll show you real quick what this looks like. but essentially you can see the transcript's going to be over here on the left, and now you've got on the right the summary, the key points, and those next steps. So that's kind of the layout, and then if a meeting had been recorded, the recording would show up top here. So that's the layout.
We had a great question on this is probably a future look sort of thing, which is a large association meeting, not on the computer, live in person. Is there a good way to record it and use the AI for a summary? So this is exciting because this is something that we're actively working on right now as a team. I think there's one scenario that we're solving for first, which is Zoom meetings and Teams meetings. They have a very standard transcript format. We're going to be rolling out a feature that allows you to pull your transcript in from any of your video platforms. So if you're not using Boardable Video for some reason, you're using Teams, or because it's embedded in your org, or you're using Zoom for whatever reason, we'll be able to take that and we'll be able to do all the same things that we do with our transcripts today. So that's what we're working on right now. I think, Jay, your question about how do you record it, that's a little bit of a bigger question, right? Do you strategically put microphones and laptops? Your goal is always going to be, you need a transcript to be able to get it to us so that we can work on it. I think a follow-on to what we're doing right now with external transcripts will be, for those folks who are using no video whatsoever, how can we help you generate a transcript? Portable video is still a really good way to do it. You can shut the video off and have the laptops opened and be ready to go. But we know that won't work for everyone. So that one's still a little bit TBD. But if you have a way to try and get a transcript with microphones through Zoom or Teams or something, very shortly we're going to have a method for you to be able to pull this in and store all of that, which I think is where the real power is, which is not only will we parse it and run AI against it and give you a summary and action items and minutes, it'll be stored with that meeting. So it's the record from then on, and you don't have to worry that, well, my transcript lives in Zoom, but my meeting actually lives over in Boardable.
Yeah, Cody, thanks for touching on that. We actually had Patty ask that question of just what are the options when using third-party video. So awesome to know, and share with folks that that's on the horizon for us to be able to support that.
Yep.
Great.
Yeah, and I saw David answered at the moment. All of our AI tools are part of our Pro Plus plan. That is more a function of just the tools that we've built so far. So it won't mean that forever that will be the way it is, but we always try and put the right feature in the right package, right? We don't want to give something to someone that they're never going to use, because we don't want them to feel like they're paying for something that they don't want or need. And so as we look at other AI features, we'll determine package location just based off of utility for all customers, right? If it's a smaller number of customers, it's probably not in essentials. But if everybody could benefit from it, we'll look at putting it into essentials at that point. Thank
Cody,
you guys for all the questions, by the way.
Yeah, we did have another one in the chat that just asked if we could demonstrate setting up a vote in a meeting. I know
Sure.
we kind of talked about that portion, but maybe taking it through to the minutes if there's the potential to do that. Yeah.
Yeah, I'd be happy to. I know I went fairly quickly through that section, so I'm happy to slow it down a second. Okay, so back to the year-end board meeting. So I've got my voting members, right? So I've set them. So I'm going to go ahead and let myself vote because I would like to have an opinion on something. So if we're voting and I'm capturing minutes, I'm going to go ahead. I can delete these minutes. Yeah, that's fine. So if I wanted to start from, say, the agenda, so normal, easy way to start minutes, right? Like this is, if you're in Boardable Video, this you'd have this on the left side. I have it here. If I want to go ahead and add a vote anywhere in here, I can say, hey, I want to add any of these options. So I can add any of this stuff. I'm just going to sometimes I might put a vote and then a decision. That's probably how I would do it. I'll take the vote and then capture the decision. But you could capture it as part of any topic that was, or motion that was put forward. All you do is click this vote. So I clicked the plus and then I clicked votes, and everybody that's listed as a voting member can actually come in and I can say yes, no, abstain, and I can do that across the board until I have all of the votes. And so now I've tracked all of the votes, and then I could always come in and say, hey, we had 3 no's, 2 yeses. Decision was vote fails 3-2-1. And that's how I can capture a vote. And I can capture it about any topic at that point.
Yeah, I love the feature here too that you can also add notes under a certain voter. So that way, if there's
Yeah.
specific we have some customers who have to be very serious about capturing exact things that are said by certain board members or wanting to make sure that they call out information there. So that's also another way that you can use that notes function as well. So
Yeah, I use it here to say that Charlie Leclerc, who's probably oversees racing in F1, he had a proxy vote by Alex Mislan. So I can capture the result of it, but I can also capture exactly who did vote for that person.
yeah, awesome. Thanks for sharing that, Cody.
Sure, happy to.
Awesome. Okay. Well, I think we're at the end of the demo session. And so I'm going to move into a bit of information about some resources that we have coming your way. So we are really excited to share with you all that we are going to have a brand new, fresh website. You may have seen some of it in the deck that we're sharing today, that some of the branding looks a little different, a little updated. We're really excited about this, that in the coming weeks, you'll be able to get the answers you need and take action. So you'll be able to find best practices resource, product guidance, and community program, all those things that you've been access to, but we're hoping you can get to it a little bit faster and more organized. We also want to remind you that we have a Slack community, the Nonprofit Network. So think of this as a place to come in and consult, share ideas, experiences with other nonprofit leaders. This is a really great place to get information if you're looking on things that you want to implement with your board, or areas that people have found opportunities, ways to use Boardable. So really just kind of working with that community to learn and grow. And then for our customers, we've got some great things coming up, group training opportunities and expert office hours. So these are ways to make sure that you're getting the information you need to utilize Boardable to its full potential, or even get consultation from experts on specific topics for your board. So these things will be coming up very soon. Great. So before we let you go, we've got one more, sorry. One thing to share. We do want to connect with you. So I think someone threw it in the chat, but we've got our product feedback email address that you can send any feedback from things that you saw today, things that you'd like to see. Please share that with us. It's really great. So much of what we shared with you today came from you all, came from you sharing your opinions, sharing your experiences with running your nonprofit organizations, and we want to make sure that we can continue to develop in your direction. You can also reach out to success or support at Boardable if you have any specific questions about your account. And then if you're interested and this is your first time hearing about Boardable and you want to learn more, you can contact sales at Boardable to learn more for your organization. And so final piece here we'd love, as we're kind of answering some questions in the chat, and we've got some folks behind the scenes and Cody is jumping in there, and just want to make sure that we're answering those questions. But as we're wrapping up, would love to share another poll with you and get your insights on these. So what are your biggest goals for your board for 2026? Love to hear that.
I'm not sure if we can do write-ins for these polls, but we should think about that next time. I wonder if there's any curveballs that somebody might throw us.
Yeah.
If you have a different goal, go ahead and throw it in the chat too. If you're like, hey, I chose this, but this is our
I would have
real
chose
goal.
other. Yeah. Well, it looks like we've got a lot of strategic planning and impact. That makes a lot of sense.
Very balanced again. You guys are a
Very balanced again.
very balanced group.
That's awesome. All right. I'm going to check the chat one more time just to see if there's anything left to answer. But I think we covered everything pretty well. That was in the chat or in the questions. So we're just really grateful for you all coming today. Again, we please just continue to interact with those mediums of email addresses and nonprofit network. we really want to hear from you. These are such great sessions for Cody and I as we get to understand you all better. And even those polls for us are super enlightening to understand where you're at and what you're thinking about as the year continues and as you plan for 2026. Cody, anything to share in closing?
No, agreed. Thank you guys for coming. We really appreciate it. We love getting feedback from everyone. We love showing you what we're working on, and hopefully, it sparks some investigation and discovery on your part to go try these things out, because that's how we make the product better. I mean, 99% of the things we do to the product come from customer feedback. So please take a look. Please try it out. Let us know how it goes, and we will see you again in a quarter, I guess.
Yeah. Thanks for joining, everyone.